What the film?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of the What the Film podcast. My name is Tristan. I am joined by my dad, Chad. And today, for the third episode, in wake of the Michael Jackson biopic coming out at the end of April, we are doing an episode dedicated on all things biopics.
Yes.
There's a lot to talk about. So what a biopic is, it's a film that dramatizes, a life of a real person, an historic event, or just a famous person in general, any person, anything. So there's a lot of biopics that are just out in the world, whether it's TV, movie, even like a video game or something probably has a biopic of it or something.
Sure.
But yeah, what's on your mind?
I think so. A biopic, in my head is a real life person that depicts, and the movie will depict at least part of that person's biography in the story. Mostly true, even though obviously in film you have to embellish some things and go into a little bit more of a dramatic sense to things. So biopics are obviously some of the best. I think it's interesting as a filmmaker, right? And I'm sure other filmmakers are this way as well. They normally just like doing their own stuff, right? Their own stories that they come up with. George Lucas is going to do a Star Wars movie, right? If you're a filmmaker, you're going to have your own ideas and stories and characters. The biopic is a little bit different, right? Because that's already there for you, right? Somebody wrote a book probably. Hey, this is what Marilyn Monroe did in 1966 or 62, whatever. The story's already there for you. The characters are already there for you. But writing it, you're going to have to probably change a few things, right, to make it into a movie. Not everybody's life is going to just transfer right over into a film. So I think it's an interesting subject, why to do certain things, right? Why, would you make the scene look like this rather than how it actually looked in real life? Or, and many times, Tristan, you have a lot of friends. So in your life, if they ever did a movie about you, they're not going to have 10 characters, right? That's going to be a huge movie and undertaking. So they'll probably combine some characters into one character on film, right? So, 5 of your friends may actually only represent one character in the movie. So there's things like that happen. How you pace it, how you do the time frame. So the Michael Jackson one that's coming out could be the most complicated biopic to ever be made. The undertaking, I'm sure, had to be insane, because not only you are dealing with the most famous person ever on the planet, the most loved, but then also the most controversial, right? So there's a lot of things I know legally they can't bring up in this biopic, because of legal things that people have signed. So there's certain aspects of the story that they're not going to bring up, or at least they're not going to show the real story there.
Yeah.
You have the family on one hand who have a ridiculous amount of money for lawyers, who are going to want the movie to go a certain way. So if you think you're straying from that, you're going to get sued, right? And then there's potentially other people who could be involved that, again, could bring a legal mess. So how they're going to tell this story is going to be interesting to me. I'm excited, but I'm also very cautious. I think this could really suck, right? It could be really bad.
That goes with really any biopic. I think if we want to talk about some of the biopics that maybe weren't, the greatest, or only showed a very, very small portion of people's lives. I know last episode you talked about the, why do I forget his name now? Deliver Me From Nowhere, Bruce Springsteen movie.
Oh, yeah. What were they thinking?
I feel like a biopic should also, if someone's never heard of this person before, they should at least show more of their music and their impact, so that people coming out of it are like, hey, I just learned something about this guy that I never knew.
Yeah, what's the choice there would be? Are you making it for the fans who already know the whole story and are just going to walk right in and say, oh, yes, Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah.
Or Is it going to be, hey, I've never heard of this guy, right? Well, and in your case, you know nothing about Bruce Springsteen, right? You knew nothing about Queen, right? You knew nothing about what's his name? Chalamet, Bob Dylan. You knew nothing about Bob Dylan, right? So everything that you know about Bob Dylan, you've got from that movie, right? True or not? Everything you know about Bruce Springsteen. So now other fans who already know everything about Bruce Springsteen knew whatever struggle he went through to do this, the album, right, that he was doing in the movie, right? So it's going to be from the audience perspective, whether it's good or bad, right? I thought the Springsteen was missed. It missed the mark hugely. I didn't see any reason for the movie at all. But the Bob Dylan one I thought was fantastic, right? The performances were good. I thought the point of it was good. You really got a good hold of that, the character of who Bob Dylan was and the time frame.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in biopics that's super important to really show where you are in time. We recently watched Chaplin, which is obviously one of my favorite performances, but also characters throughout film history. And, it showed that time frame that we're dealing with. Our movie of the month, we're going to talk about that later, but I think the time that these biopics happen is just as important because it's a character all of its own. Right? The place that you are is also going to be the character.
100%. But yeah, do you have any of biopics that aren't maybe in the normal sense of what a biopic is? Like, for me, I really like Green Book and Black Klansman, which are not necessarily really about this one famous person, just like a famous situation that happened that maybe was from a book and then they adapted it into a movie. Do you know of anything like that? Or the interesting thing for me is like when someone brings up a biopic, I don't ever think of a situation movie. Like I always think of, it's an artist, it's a sports player, it's a historical person, whatever. But many biopics are also just, an event.
Yeah, biopics I think can be like in your case it could be just what happened right on that day or that time. Munich I think would be a good one, right? Munich was about the terrorist attacks that happened at the Olympics, right? Again, real people. Real people were involved and portrayed in the movie. But the story was more about that thing that happened, right? I would say, things like that, like JFK, Oliver Stone's JFK would be one. It's not even a biopic of JFK, right? Not at all. It's more about his assassination and the investigation that led after it, which was a wild ride, right? It was crazy, a wild ride for it, and it's such a great movie. Not only because the way he tells a story, as he tells stories very psychedelically, but it talks about a real person that did all this stuff. Again, not how that necessarily happened in the movie, but it is a true story. So those scenarios, I think, are good, and in those cases, it isn't necessarily a biography, but more of just the telling of a story. Not about the person, but about what they did. There's a whole list. I mean, you said, did you look up what's considered the first biopic?
Yeah. So the first ever biopic, according to IMDb and all these other sites, is Joan of Arc. There was a Joan of Arc biopic that came out in 1900. Yeah. Yes. Which obviously I haven't watched it. I don't even know how to watch this thing or even where it's at. But that's actually pretty interesting that the first biopic was Joan of Arc. historical woman figure, and you know, if I was a betting man in the 1900s, they would have never made a movie about a woman before. Like, that's actually
Yes.
pretty interesting.
And
You know?
Joan of Arc is huge a part of history, huge part of going against, you know, a monarchy, the leaders, the religious sides of things. You know, Joan of Arc is widely regarded as one of the greatest martyrs of all time.
Yeah.
And now you bring that up, and actually, I'd never seen the 1900 version. There is a Criterion Collection Joan of Arc version, but now that I'm thinking of it, I can't remember the name now. I'm gonna have to actually look this up if you give me a second. But there's a Joan of Arc biopic with Mila Jovovich, right? Is that her name? Mila Jovovich. I'm going to say her name completely wrong, but and she and Dustin Hoffman is also in it. Man, what is the name of that? Hold on one second. The something. It's called The Something. It is amazing. Essentially, Dustin. Now this is a biopic. It's what really happened, but the director or the writer is saying, telling you things that may or may not have happened. It's called The Messenger. The story of Joan of Arc. It came out in 1999. It is. It's absolutely. I'm going to say it's amazing. So John Malkovich is in it. It's a great film, and essentially what this director does, and now here's a take on the biopic, right? Totally a true story what happened to Joan of Arc. Totally, you know, everybody knows the story. This teeters on whether or not God or the devil is talking to her throughout the whole thing. Dustin Hoffman either plays God or the devil, kind of leading her on the way, and also challenging her along the way, and it's fascinating. Obviously, that part is probably not true, right? But it's a wonderful take on that story. So I would still consider it a biopic because what happens in the movie happens in real life for the most part. Her story. So, you know, that would be one example, I think. So tell me about so this whole month, obviously, we knew we're doing this podcast. Where did you go? Where did you?
I mean,
either to look at movies or think about.
So, when we're thinking about biopics, right? I think my favorites just go to either Malcolm X, Straight Outta Compton, amazing movies, and then you have like The Wolf of Wall Street, which is about Jordan Belfort, the famous.
Who spoke? Who? I'm sorry, I was thinking of something. No, go ahead, continue.
The guy, you know, the famous Sella Penn guy, and he's a huge Wall Street, you know, stockman. But I kept looking up biopics, and the one that caught my eye, which, because I love this movie, you love this movie, Sing Sing, is based on a true story in prison.
You're right. You're right.
Like, holy
right.
shit, that is crazy.
That's right.
There's so many movies that if you just look up, you know, whatever about the movie, and you're like, that's based on a true story, and it blows your mind. Like, it.
And it doesn't have to tell you, right? Like in this, the fact that it really was a true story meant nothing to us as the viewer, right? Like we, the story was there, and Sing Sing, oh, what a goddamn beautiful movie that is. Yeah, the fact that it was or was not real didn't necessarily add anything to it, but how great is that? That, you know, this person's story was told.
And I think what's even crazier, I don't know if you knew this or not, but everyone except for Coleman Domingo in that movie is a real person that went through all of that same thing. Like, all of those prisoners are real prisoners from the Sing Sing prison.
Yes, I believe you told me that. Like, they actually did the theater program, right? Or whichever. Which is why they look so natural. Right. I mean...
And I think that's also a testament to Coleman Domingo, because he just put himself in that situation and was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he was, and speaking of Coleman Domingo, he's about to play Joe freaking Jackson in the Michael Jackson biopic. What a crazy thing that's about to happen.
Right.
Like,
and he seems young to me too, so that's another thing I'm kind of worried about. Like, because Coleman Domingo's kind of young. Everything I remember from Joe Jackson,
Coleman Domingo is like,
he was like an old mean head. I'd like to see him be mean too, because usually Coleman Domingo is very
a very nice person, right?
But he's going to have to be an asshole in this if he plays it right.
The funny thing about Coleman Domingo too is that I feel like everything that I've seen him in is in a biopic, because he's in this movie called Rustin, which is another biopic, and then he's also in the Selma Martin Luther King biopic as well.
He is, right.
He's
well, Fear the Walking Dead doesn't count then.
Well,
that didn't happen yet.
What? Why are you laughing?
Because I'm alive.
Yeah.
But yeah. You just, this is a weird question, and I'd love to ask him. So he's there working with a bunch of non-professional actors. They're actors in prison. I wonder how much he learned about acting doing that role with them, right? Because when they're playing with each other, in the sense of doing a scene, right, running a scene together, it's different than other professional actors. So I wonder what he must have learned some stuff. You know what I mean? Different from other productions by doing that. And obviously they learned from him because he's a professional actor. I get, but I wonder like what he came home with. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like, this guy did this in the scene. I think that'd be fascinating to actually find out, to ask that question to him, because I think in that art, that's important. That helped the movie along so much, and no, that's interesting.
I wonder if he spent any real time in that prison with them to get a sense of the idea of what's going on. Right.
Yeah, I would assume he did.
Yeah. And then piggybacking off of the first biopic for the Joan of Arc movie, there's also the one biopic that is considered the first massive blockbuster status for a biopic, and it's the Lawrence of Arabia film. I've never seen it. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not.
I have.
If you want to talk about that.
So yes, that was a big production. It was a big movie, huge. I can't say I was super interested in it at the time that I watched it. I watched it, when I was young. I was young with, Star Wars and Indiana Jones. So sitting through Lawrence of Arabia was a little, all right. But I know absolutely it killed at the box office. It was a huge movie for its time, which I think it was 60s. Am I wrong on that? When did that come out? Do you have that readily available? Lawrence of Arabia?
1962.
1962, is that what you said? Yes.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, it was an epic movie at the time, right?
Yeah.
And it was, it's good. It's obviously a great movie. I didn't really know it was I would really consider it blockbuster. I knew it was famous, but I guess back then,
I think it might be just the first one that made a lot more money than usual.
A lot more money. Yeah.
But I think it's also very interesting. Like, when do you think because a lot of these biopics from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they don't really follow just one person or anything. Like, I wonder when they started to do, hey, let's do this movie for this one person. And then, I guess the Buddy Holly movie was probably 70s, I think, or something, 80s.
I think at a certain point they realized that musicians had an interesting life, and yeah, so in the 70s you probably had a slew of Elvis type things. I think Kurt Russell actually played Elvis in a movie very early on, and then Buddy Holly. You had a string of those, and in the 1980s. We started to go back in time, right, with this reflection of the 1950s. where we loved it. Everything was sort of very retro, right? In the 80s, even, in fact, the movie Back to the Future, he goes back to the 50s, right? So there was this huge, let's come back to some of that peaceful, weird time in the 50s, and you're going to bring back all the people, right? You know, Buddy Holly, all of that. So I think then that's sort of driven these biopics, because there's so many interesting stories from back then that happened. Jerry Lee Lewis, who played him? Yeah, the guy from Inner Space. He was just Reagan. The guy who was just Reagan, who played Reagan. Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid played Jerry Lee Lewis, I believe, in a biopic. And that was an interesting story, because he was a rock and roll guy back in the 50s who married his cousin, his 12-year-old cousin, I think it was, or 13-year-old cousin, I don't know. And it basically ruined his career, obviously. But yeah, so you know, there's always interesting stories. Obviously, Johnny Cash. Then you know, we have that biopic that was waiting to be made.
Interesting, where like right now it looks like we're getting into the 90s musical artists and making movies about them. So I feel like in the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see movies from the early 2000s and 2010s. Sure. Like, I wonder when there's going to be a you said this yesterday, like what, a Diddy movie, like that's going to happen. There's going to be probably a Katy Perry movie or something of like
Britney Spears,
right? So stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and there, you know, it wasn't. I mean, there was just recently a biopic for Stephen Hawking, right? Was there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Eddie Redmayne played Stephen Hawking, and he actually won the Oscar for that one, which we can talk about Oscar stuff in a second. But I just think it's very interesting how more of the musical biopics are just getting more movies made, because a lot of the times maybe it's just musicians are more interesting in their life than anybody.
I think yes. The answer is 100% yes. They make a ridiculous amount of money. They have people throwing themselves at them like nobody else, right? Nobody else. Politicians or even actors, when they go out into the street, they don't have crowds of people throwing their bras at them. You know what I mean? So I definitely think there is something about that artistic lifestyle that is super interesting. A lot of it is the same. I mean, if you notice, they all generally follow the same order, where, hey, you know, you're a nobody, you get famous, you get addicted to drugs, you get off drugs, there you go. Right? Either you die or you get off drugs. Like, they're all pretty much the same exact story. I
think that's
which makes it a little dull, but
now, you know, I feel like nowadays people are trying to maybe get away from the musical biopics, or at least if you make a musical biopic, do something different with it, or don't show what we already saw with someone else.
Yeah.
And but I mean, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Hands down, there is a huge amount of love and affection for musicians. You know, again, I always say, so the Rolling Stones have been touring the world since 1962. Since 1962, that was, I don't know, what, 60 years ago. Over 60 years ago. Then they're still touring today. It is, and every city, so let's say every year they do a 20-city tour around the world. Since 1962. In every city, there's at least 200 women that want to have sex with their lead singer, Mick Jagger. Every city, hands down. 200 women waiting in line. It is potentially possible that Mick Jagger has had sex with somebody in 1962 and then had sex with their daughter in 1979 and then had sex with that person's daughter in 1992. 100% possible in the same city. Right? In fact, we could all be children of Mick Jagger at this point because he's been around the world so many times, right? So it's things like that that absolutely are going to cause chaos, right, to somebody's head. Anybody that's famous is going to be a little fucked up, right, in some way. So the film will just lend itself to that story, right, to that absolute horror that you can get into there. So yes.
Yeah. Before we get to the Oscar wins and all that for biopics, for some reason they just sweep every Oscar imaginable. I have the top 5 highest grossing biopics of all time. Do you think you can name them? A lot of these I feel like you definitely have seen or have heard of.
So I don't know if I can. This is strictly money, right? How much money it won. So number 1, I think, has to be the newer one, right? Oppenheimer, right? Because I think
Oppenheimer. You're exactly right. It is obviously J. Robert Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, Christopher Nolan. Easy.
Which, by the way, we're talking box office, right? So when people are saying that box office is dead because everything's streaming, if you're going to be the number 1 biopic, that's huge, right?
Right.
In today's time.
Now, what I will say
is Goodfellas on the list?
You know what? It was actually, I think, number 6, if I'm not mistaken. But number two, we saw, and I think we loved, and it also, the person that was the main actor won the Oscars. That one for as well. It's also
we loved it. So, the Queen one.
Yes, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, newer.
And by the way, number 1, Oppenheimer, $975 million, and Bohemian Rhapsody, $910 million. So,
a lot of money.
Number 3, I've never seen. It's also $100 million off of Bohemian Rhapsody. So,
what is it?
It is Hi Mom. Never heard of this. Never.
I don't even know what that is. Hi Mom.
Quick. Yeah, I don't.
Hi Mom. And how did it win so much money?
I don't know. It's a 1970 comedy thriller starring Robert De Niro, filmed by Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma, Hi Mom. What the F?
Yeah. I think, unless I'm thinking of the wrong movie, but...
Okay, so first of all, the description is amazing. It's a Vietnam vet becomes a voyeuristic filmmaker in New York City, satirizing media, sex, and radical politics through his peep art and an involvement with a Black Power theater troupe. What the hell is this movie?
Okay, well, first off, we're looking at the complete wrong movie, because I looked at a book on that one. It is a...
Well, you found a gem. You found a gem by accident.
Put that on the list. We're putting it on the list.
We'll put that on the list. Oh, what?
But, so this Hi Mom movie is a 2021 Chinese comedy film. Obviously just released in China, so it made $1 bajillion dollars.
Nice.
But yeah, it's I'm trying to think of this description. A semi-autobiographical fantasy story about a young woman who is suddenly thrown back in time to the year 1981, where she meets her mother and develops a bond of sisterhood with her. So it's kind of like on that fantasy thing biopic. Number 4, though, is something I think you really love this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I think you do, or maybe you don't. Don't remember. Now I'm confused if I know what this movie is.
What is it? Schindler's List.
The Passion of the Christ.
Oh, it's a great film. It was a very ballsy, great film.
Well, that's also another thing. The Passion of the Christ. That's like a religious movie, so it's a biopic.
It
like,
is.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
So here's the gray area. In order for it to be a biopic, you have to accept that the stories in the Bible were truth and happened. Not everybody does. However, since a good majority of the people do, we can consider this a biopic of the story. And I will say that Mel Gibson very accurately told the story. There were a few moments that he interjected himself, or things into it, but in general, it was a very accurate depiction of that story.
And then number 5. Oh, by the way, sorry. High Mom did $841 million in the box office. Passion of the Christ $612 million. And then number 5.
She was the De Palma film.
Right. We gotta look it up and watch it one day.
We do. Because, by the way, a notable scene in that movie says a controversial Be Black Baby sequence where a white audience is forced to wear blackface and experience a performance about racism. What?
Oh my gosh, we need to watch this movie.
I can't even believe that's a real sentence from anything.
Holy crap.
What? I've never even heard of this movie.
And it's Robert De Niro too, so that's crazy.
And it is, yeah, it's De Niro. It's crazy.
Number 5, though, is American Sniper. Made $547 million.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. That was a very popular movie when it came out. I wasn't necessarily a fan. It was a political film, in my opinion. And it came out at that time when, that weird transition, almost birth of MAGA, right, was sort of the American Sniper was really a part of that. And the arguments for and against that film are really kind of where we're at today, honestly. But as a film, I guess it was okay. Again, I can't speak to the truth of the actual story. There is some question about it, but there is with probably every biopic that we have. So yes, interesting.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it just kind of goes.
And none of these really won Oscars, though, right? I don't think. Right?
So yeah. There has been 29 Oscar-winning acting performances. Just to name a few, obviously, there's 29. Like, that's crazy. And we're probably going to get 30 with the Michael movie, by the way. Just putting that out there. We're going to get a lot more. Rami Malek, obviously, winning for his role as Freddie Mercury. Gary Oldman won an Oscar playing
for Sid Nancy.
And then...
Wait, I'm sorry, what did he win for?
Winston Churchill, the Churchill movie.
Oh, shit. He did Sid and Nancy. That's on the list. Okay. We got to put that on our list. He played Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. A mind-blowing performance. Mind-blowing.
I think probably the biggest win maybe is Daniel Day-Lewis winning for Abe Lincoln, which was...
He won for that?
Yes, he did.
Really?
And then, obviously, Jamie Foxx won it for Ray Charles in that movie, which is another great movie about... Well,
yes,
it's a great movie, but the ending was a little bit too fantastical from the rest of the movie.
In Ray.
Yeah, in Ray.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Again, I told you this before, and the audience needs to know this, or try this. Somebody has to do this for me. Put on Ray, and then on a separate TV, put on Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix. Johnny Cash. It's the same movie. I'm dead 100%. Everything's going to happen at the same time. His brother's going to die when they're young at the same moment. They're going to start just singing gospel music at the same time in the movie. They meet a girl at the same time. They get famous at the same time. They start doing drugs at the same time. The girl saves them at the same time. It's the same movie. I'm 100% convinced of this. I have never tried to put them side by side, but if you put them side by side, I'm almost convinced it's the truth.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. But because again, that kind of just sounds like a it's crazy that their brothers died around like the same time in the movie,
right?
So, but yeah.
No, I don't think. But no, if you think about it, in that time frame, in the 40s, 20s maybe or whatever, that happened a lot. People just died quite often, right. In drownings or whatever. Like, it wasn't that awkward.
Yeah.
So, well, De Niro won, right? De Niro won for Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Right.
There's so many more. I
Yeah.
know, what the heck is her name? Sandra Bullock won for The Blind Side, and a whole bunch of.
Julia Roberts won
Yeah.
for Aaron Brockovich. Again,
Mhm.
super awesome in that. Russell Crowe won for Beautiful Mind, right?
Mhm.
He played the mathematician Nash. Sweepingly fantastic performance by him.
And it's actually crazy. So they're actually counting Leonardo DiCaprio's The Revenant win. The Revenant is supposedly a biopic. It says it on the list on IMDb that it's based off a true story. So, again, that's just another thing. There's so many like stories that are just real.
Yeah, you never even right. I mean, Braveheart is a true story. Is the stuff in the movie, did that really happen? I don't know. Catch Me If You Can is a true story, right? Leonardo played a real guy who faked out everybody, the law. Schindler's List, Amadeus, King's Speech, right? Didn't somebody win for King's Speech? Wasn't that an Oscar? Colin Firth?
Firth, I think so. Yeah.
Didn't he? I think he may have won. Ed Wood is a fantastic biopic.
And,
The Aviator. Just
12
about everything.
12 Years a Slave.
Right.
Sweep that Oscars too. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Serpico is a great one. Remember the Titans. Ali with I don't think he won the Oscar.
No, so
Will Smith.
Will Smith won the Oscar playing a different guy, King Richard, the Richard Williams movie with Serena and Venus, which everyone knows what happened that night, which totally took away his Oscar, win to me.
Yes.
But that movie was amazing. I actually loved his performance. I think that's probably his best acting, maybe. But
was Jim Carrey nominated for Man on the Moon? Because the huge stories about that. There's actually a documentary about him playing this role. He plays Andy Kaufman, right? Who was one of the weirdest comedians ever, and you never knew if Andy Kaufman was actually playing a gag on you or was actually doing some real stuff. He tricked everybody all the time. He, famously, he went into wrestling and fought Jerry the King Lawler. But Jim Carrey, went into that role. I mean, he went deep into that role and became Andy Kaufman. And he went crazy. He drove everybody else crazy around him. It's a fascinating documentary to watch. But I would assume he hopefully got some kind of love for doing that. Another one was Tom Hardy in Bronson. Nobody talks about that freaking movie, but Bronson he played a violent dude, like one of the most violent dudes ever. I don't think he got nominated for anything like that. But
I think it's also interesting you talk about Tom Hardy playing a violent character, and just when a biopic comes out and you are trying to root for the guy, like in the movie, like when you watch like Malcolm X or even King Richard or something, you're like, oh, I want this guy to succeed. The Freddie Mercury one, like you want this guy to, like, oh, he's a good guy, right? But then when we watch The Doors, you're like, this guy is an asshole and a total screw up. What is he doing with his life? Like, there's not really a point in that movie where you're like, yay, he's doing, he's kind of all over the place and kind of in different directions.
Yeah, it was a harder take on the hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, at the same time, I think sometimes that has to be exposed. A lot of these celebrities are assholes.
Yeah.
A lot of them are, probably 99%, right? So I think, and a lot of them are crazy and egotistical and on their own planet. And I think in The Doors specifically, that's another thing where I think it was more an Oliver Stone story than, here's just what The Doors did. He sort of interjected a lot of the Native American lore. It was almost like he took the pages of Jim Morrison's poetry and just made a film about it. Rather than
also just very fitting as well. Like, there's a couple of things where if they just do start to finish, that movie's gonna like either suck, be terrible, or just boring.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have a fantastical element to it where when he's high off acid and tripping balls, like, there should be a scene where he's seeing, like, they're in the desert for no reason. They're just like sitting there and zooting.
That's what people did in the 60s. They just went to the deserts.
Right.
Whatever.
So it's like interesting, like stuff like that where I wish maybe they would do that more.
And I thought, sometimes it's just about the feeling, right? Remember, I showed you the two clips we saw when the Doors got to Ed Sullivan, and they were told not to say the word higher, and he goes out, and in the movie he's dancing all around, he's yelling, higher into the camera, and it's this whole chaotic movement scene. And when you actually watch the real thing that actually happened, he's just standing there, he just said higher, he's just standing there, like there's no flair at all. And the reason why a filmmaker would do that, in my opinion, is it isn't about what happened, it's about how it felt. And to all the people watching it, when he said higher, they felt like in the movie, right? It was, oh my God. And in order to capture that, I think, sometimes you have to change how it looks. And I find that as an interesting choice for a filmmaker, right, to make. If when you look back at the Freddie Mercury one, when he first sang, I think there was a problem, right, with the mic stand. I don't know if that really happened, right? And maybe it didn't happen like that. But if you put that movement into the emotion, it works, and that's why you do things like that in a film, right? But yes, I think it's harder if you don't like the character. It does make it very difficult. A little bit, for sure. I mean, Chaplin too. You watch Chaplin too. Like, Chaplin wasn't. Again, he probably was very tough to be around and work with. And to be honest, I think Michael Jackson might have been too. Like, he wasn't an easy person to please, right? As an artist. So
I think that's why they're probably just maybe showing his troubles with his father and the Jack 5 and that departure, and then making Off the Wall and Thriller. But
the biggest thing for Michael Jackson, and the biggest concern, is how you portray Michael Jackson, right? Because he absolutely was a real person, but nobody knows him as a real person because he was a weird dude, right? So his legacy and what people think of him totally trump the fact that he was just he was a real person. He was a human being who had a very weird childhood, right? Rumor, his father really worked the shit out of the kids, and he didn't have a real childhood where he could just go out and play. He was work, and that messed him up pretty good, apparently. And his legacy was always sort of like he was just a big kid that somehow made songs that made billions of dollars, right? So he made the greatest songs of all time.
Him and the Beatles and Elvis are really just like those artists could stop world peace if they wanted to. That's how you
got to put Madonna in that.
And Madonna,
and hopefully that biopic they keep talking about it. Hopefully that actually happens. But yes.
But yeah, there's stuff like that where there is no other way you can make a Michael Jackson movie and talk about all of the controversies, because then people are either gonna be outraged or
it would consume the
no, I don't wanna do that. But then there's other people who are like, if you're gonna make a movie about a guy, you're gonna show his entire life and what really happened. But
I would be fine if this movie stops at Thriller, honestly. If this movie goes all the way up to Thriller and then stops, I'd be like, all right, that's a good story to tell. Because Thriller was the
biggest album of all time.
Greatest album of all time. Yeah, absolutely. How the fuck how did he get there?
Yeah.
Tell that story and that's it. That's all I need. We don't need more.
Right. So it's crazy. But speaking about if, they make a Madonna movie or whatever, we talked a little bit about this yesterday before the podcast. Biopics that either that haven't happened yet, or that you would want to personally make, or you think you could tackle, or you just want a biopic based off of this person or thing or whatever. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah. I guess there's three main ones that would consume my life. I think Kurt Cobain would be a great one. However, his story has kind of already just been told through and through. Mm-hmm. So I would have to make it me and Shelby, my wife, constantly talk about the music revolution that happened in the early 90s. Okay, rap came, the gangster rap, all this stuff, right? Boys in the Hood type stuff came out. Women were finally like getting music. You had Tori Amos, Alanis Morissette. You had this revolution of music, and same with guys stuff. So coming out of the 80s where everything was hair band and metal and yay, we're gonna have hot women dance with us and make a lot of money and snort cocaine, whatever, blah blah blah. Then you had the grunge era, and not only just grunge, it was grunge and industrial music, right? You had Nine Inch Nails, you had Rage Against the Machine, all at the same. This is all at the same time, right? All of that plus the grunge, where you had Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. All this was all happening all at once. Like within the span of like 2 years, everything fucking changed. Everything. MTV was done. Everything was completely separate and different. So the story of Kurt Cobain, even though sure, how did Nirvana start? How did he meet Courtney Love? Blah blah blah. Sure, tell that, but tell it within that. Make the story really that this was a fucking time bomb waiting to happen. And of course, he didn't really want to be famous. Right, almost like Jim Morrison, right? It would almost be kind of like the same story as Jim Morrison. He didn't want to really be famous, but he was the Michael Jackson, right? Put up onto that pedestal, and it fucked his life up. Obviously, it ruined him, and it ruined us as fans. I bought tickets to Lollapalooza in 1994. Guess who's headlining? Nirvana. Guess who wasn't there by the time the concert rolled around? It wasn't Nirvana, because he shot himself or was murdered, whatever. But
that's another thing, like with stuff like that, where you don't actually know what happened to their death or whatever. Yeah. Where do you put that at the do you show that he killed himself? Do you show that someone else killed him, or do you just leave it and he's?
I think you leave it. I think it's okay to let the audience make up their own mind. Just show them a little bit. A door closing. That's all you need. Right. In the Doors, you just see him in the tub. He's already dead. You don't see him actually die. You don't know. Right. Maybe his wife did give him a high dose of heroin. I don't know. Whatever, So yeah, I think you would leave it. So Kurt Cobain, I think I would have to do. Ozzy Osbourne, obviously, he's going to get one, of course. Sure. Me and a friend wrote and wanted to make his biography, the Black Sabbath years in college. We wrote it. We were gonna produce it. I was stupid enough that I was like, yeah, I'll be Ozzy Osbourne in it. Right. It didn't go anywhere, obviously, but
that's another person that because he lived so long and he was still touring until the day he died.
Right.
How much do you even show? Like his Black Sabbath days or his new crazy.
He has epic stories. I mean, epic. Right. Dude, he pissed on the Alamo. He was fucked up one night and pissed on the Alamo. He got arrested for
Took
peeing
a
on the Alamo.
bite out of a live bat or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, this dude's insane.
Yeah, his stories are things of legend. So his movie is going to be, just something, if it's done right, something off the charts. The only other one I could think of, it's going to sound weird, is Charles Manson. I've read the book Helter Skelter about him at a very young age. I'm honestly 12 years old, or 13 maybe. I've been fascinated with cults ever since. I've been fascinated with Charles Manson ever since.
Have you ever joined a cult?
Have I ever joined a cult? No. Oh, God, no, not at all. I'm an Eagles fan, so that's kind of a cult.
Okay, yeah.
I'm super fascinated with his story because nobody ever really mentions this, because he's always just the evil guy, right? He's always, with his crazy eyes and all the crazy shit he says, and depicted as this evil, cult leader. But his story is actually fascinating because his wife, or his mom, was a prostitute who went to jail. He pretty much just grew up on the street. At like 13, he went to prison, and he was in prison basically ever since. He gets out in 1968, I think it is, or 69, during one of the most weirdest times in America, right? When the hippie generation, there are people living in communes, they were living in the desert, Tristan, just doing LSD. And so here you have this hardened criminal who's going to hang out with these people. What do you think's going to happen, right? He knew the Bible. He wanted to be a famous singer. He lived with the Beach Boys for a little bit. Then, of course, he gets people to kill a bunch of famous people, and then he goes back to prison for the rest of his life. So his story is fascinating in the psychological aspect of all he knew was prison. How do you become a functioning member of society if you're just grew up in prison, right? So to me, that story has never been investigated or really kind of told in a way. So if somebody paid me money to do a biopic of Charles Manson, I think that's where I would put my focus on.
That's interesting. It's also interesting you brought up the Beach Boys too. I feel like maybe they do have a biopic. I've never seen it, but that would be an
Lifetime. I think Lifetime, or there's a made-for-TV movie about them. That's another fascinating story. That would be a good biopic.
I love the Beach Boys too, so that would be a good soundtrack too.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I have 4.
Yeah, what's yours? Because you're an upcoming filmmaker, right? So somebody gives you money.
Yeah. So
what are we doing?
There's 4 of them. One of them is like 100%. I want to do this. Like, this is a want. The other 3, maybe. I think it would be interesting to see the life of Gene Wilder on screen. Just how he's overcome a whole bunch from his early childhood, making Wonka and
his wife. Obviously, his wife scenario would be Gilda Radner was.
Yeah. And just his partnership with oh my gosh, why did I forget his name?
Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor.
His
whole partnership with him. I think that would be interesting to show. Another one, I think, if we're doing a sports one, I think there's a whole bunch of basketball players I could do, but I think one would be Kobe Bryant, just to see his...
Yeah, that has to happen soon.
Like, coming straight from high school into the NBA, and then a whole bunch of controversies, and just playing for the Lakers, or you can even go into, what the Lakers, was back then, losing Magic Johnson, and then literally having nothing but Shaq, and then have Kobe come in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then another one, this one might sound interesting. I thought about this last night when we were asking this, and then I went home, I was like, I love the Iron Claw movie, the wrestling. So I think, wrestling is kind of now more mainstream than ever, I think, just because of social media. I think it would be interesting to show the life of the Hardy Boys, maybe just Jeff Hardy, but also throwing Matt in there too. But I think the Hardy Boys story is so interesting because they were like...
There's a lot that happened.
There's a lot. But like when they first started to come to professional wrestling, they were like 16. They lied about their age. They wrestled Razor Ramon and the 1, 2, 3.
They made a ring in their own yard, right?
Yeah.
They did it all themselves.
Yeah, and obviously once they get to the WWF or WWE, Jeff does this. He goes on drugs, right? So another drug story that you can add into there.
Sure.
But I think it would
It's
also
everywhere.
be very interesting to see Matt Hardy's perspective on what's happening to Jeff, because his
Well,
brother
him too.
is the most loved. Like, when you think of the most loved wrestlers, I think Jeff Hardy is just among the top 5, of all time. There has to be. He's a fan favorite that
People love Jeff Hardy.
and I love
Not
Jeff
so much
Hardy.
Matt, but Jeff. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Matt Hardy's kind of, oh, my brother's more famous than me. What does it go through that?
And just what Matt had to go through with Lita.
With Lita and Edge and that whole thing. Oh my gosh. And he also, he can't even walk the right way because he does so many leg drops. That would be an interesting story from a wrestling perspective for me.
I agree. No, I think that would be. There's so much you could throw in there, and so much history.
Yeah.
That you could tell multiple stories all layered together under one family, right?
Yeah. And it kind of is piggybacking off the Iron Claw with the Von Erich family, and that whole story is crazy. I'm sure the Hardys had not something like that, but just hardships in between the brotherhood of that.
Oh, absolutely. Wrestling is chock full of great stories. Right. I mean, we're talking almost 100 years of
probably over 100 years stories.
Now. Yeah, I mean, there's been so many weird things inside of wrestling lore that could make many films.
Yeah. I think the Hardy Boys for me would be the most interesting, just on a personal level. I'm sure
it's good.
I'm sure like a Vince McMahon one will happen. I'm sure Hulk Hogan will get one. I'm sure maybe not Stone Cold, but like The Rock will probably get a movie or something. I'm not sure.
The Rock would play himself, though. That's the problem.
I think the person that would play The Rock is Dwayne Johnson. He seems like he looks like him a little bit.
He looks a little bit like him, right?
But then the other biopic that I would 100%, I'm even trying to make right now, kind of writing, sort of making it, is a Kanye West one. Which
very controversial person.
Very controversial, and I don't think I would tackle, his whole life, because there's so many things that I don't want to talk about or that shouldn't just be said out loud anymore. But I think, going from 1997 when he was working as producer all the way up until 2007 when his mother passed away, and that kind of was the downward spiral for him.
You're looking at this from a mental health standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Is that the story?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
because
details.
Kanye West, he had so much hardship trying to even become a producer, and then even after that, when he was trying to make his first album, The College Dropout, no one wanted to sign him because, oh, you're a producer, you're not a rapper. And finally Jay-Z is like, you know what, I'll help him out a little bit, we'll do this album. And then he gets into a car accident and literally almost dies. He has his jaw wired shut, the whole shebang. And then I think that's an interesting story from making that album. And then coming off the highs, he makes Late Registration, which is kind of the same album, just in a whole different disc or whatever. And then he makes Graduation. Graduation is my favorite album of all time. I think just Kanye's best album is Graduation, and it's a completely different vibe. It's more, dance, electric pop, rap, and more like samples than anything. So I think that's an interesting.
This is before he became uber famous, right?
Yes, he kind of was uber famous in 2000.
Because isn't that kind of what ruins like the people? So I guess there's a line from I think it's a Marilyn Manson lyric, like, "We'll never become celebrated victims of our fate, like celebrities," right? Like, that's the crush of all of these celebrity biopics, right? They become so big that they just mentally get fucked up.
Yeah,
it's kind of just right before that. Queen, right? I'm sure Kanye West has the same scenario, and I'm sure we're going to see this in the Michael Jackson thing, that you become so famous that your brain stops working correctly.
When he said the Michael Jackson, the one thing that immediately said to me was like, he was the biggest artist in the world probably at like 19, 20, 21.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that right now. Like, it's
If he
harder.
went to the mall, he had to rent the mall for the day.
Yeah.
There's literally documentaries of journalists following him into a store that he bought for the day. Because if he went in that store, it would be mobbed with people, right? He couldn't do anything.
Yeah, that sucks.
Anything.
But
I mean,
yeah.
there are people literally outside of his house sleeping at all times with cameras. That would drive you insane.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to show on on a movie that's probably only like 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's also another thing.
It's gonna be tough.
But yeah, I think for me, a Kanye West biopic just ended at 2007.
I think it would be interesting. I think, again, it's tough to do something on somebody so already disliked.
Yeah.
So maybe it would be a years down the road.
Oh, for sure.
It's timing. Timing is everything,
So
obviously.
this is another question I wanted to bring up earlier. When is it okay to make the biopic of that said person? Is it, after Freddie Mercury passed away, I'm sure a couple of years down the line, hey, let's make a Freddie Mercury movie. But Elton John, clearly still alive, clearly still moving and has no issues with anybody whatsoever, but he has a biopic. So, like, I wonder when people...
Well, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming so. Like, the Doors movie was trying to get made for a very long time, like since 1980, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't come out until 1990. I'm sure once Freddie Mercury died, somebody was writing the movie right off the jump. But it took 20, 30, whatever years. They're coming out with a Beatles one now, right? I hear. I mean, they've been broken up and talked about since 1969, 1970, right? So, I don't know. I think it's just when the time is right for, like, I feel like Bohemian Rhapsody came out at the right time. The Elton John one, I don't know. I'm assuming they were trying to tell his story for years. Here's an outed gay man who's been gay forever and popular and picked himself back up from whatever. And I guess maybe that was the right time to tell that story. I don't know.
Also, like, if that person is still alive and they don't have anything to do with that movie, doesn't that raise a lot of questions or like legal issues, I guess, right? That's the whole thing about a biopic.
But I mean, sometimes they are part of it. Johnny Cash was a part of
The Walk the Line
up until he died. He died before it came out. And I think Ray was. I think Ray and
his son and stuff was.
Well, I think Ray spent time with the actor.
Fox,
I think before. I think
know.
so. I know Johnny Cash did. So Johnny Cash and Joaquin Phoenix definitely did. And then he died, and the movie came out. Like, so sometimes there is just some timing to it.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I really got for what I would make.
That's what the film biopics. Kanye West is coming out from Tristan.
Yeah, hopefully, maybe. You never know.
We'll see. Maybe I'll play Kanye. Is there a role in there for me? Is there a role? Can I be like the producer, the other producer?
Oh, you wanted to play Kanye himself. I was like, dude, I don't think you can do that. You're not about to do Robert Downey Jr. Tropic Thunder right now.
Yeah, that would go real well.
Okay. Let's get into the next segment. The small screen spotlight. Boom.
Small screen spotlights.
You go. We're going to talk about biopics.
Yes, you go first.
There's a whole lot of I could choose from.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think I talked about Kobe a little bit from the Lakers is the winning time, the legacy of the
HBO show.
Yep, the Lakers Dynasty show, which
yes.
I really, really loved. I didn't see season 2 because I thought after season 1 it ended pretty perfectly with them beating Boston in the championship game.
Yes.
Because, Boston sucks. We hate Boston. But yeah, I think it also definitely... like, I learned something from that show because I am a huge basketball fan. 76ers, Trailblazers, Cleveland, LeBron, Kobe, whatever. They're all amazing. But before Michael Jordan, basketball was really pioneered by these two behemoths, which is Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, which
They changed the entire game.
it actually is a little bit sometimes upsetting when a lot of people do say Michael Jordan changed the game, because he did.
He did.
He was not the first. He was definitely not the first.
Oh, no.
Magic Johnson is one of the greatest players of all time, and same with Larry Bird. So I love how they leaned into the rivalry with Boston, and it's not so much just about Magic Johnson or just about Jerry Buss and the Lakers dynasty. It's more also about that Boston Lakers rivalry, which was pretty big in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's actually a really great documentary about that as well. It's a true thing. The show depicted it beautifully, where, you know, back then you didn't know if the NBA is making it, right? It wasn't around as long as baseball. It hasn't been this big thing. In fact, there were two different leagues at one point in the 60s, right? The ABA and the NBA. So you never really knew. The only thing that mattered at that time was putting asses in the seats. Yeah, I had to put some asses in the seats. And the Celtics were awesome. They had a fantastic team. And when Bird came along, Avery Johnson and Kevin McHale, oh my God. And then, the Lakers were right there. And man, city to city, you just had... That rivalry was
West
beautiful.
Coast versus East Coast rivalry.
Yeah, West Coast versus East Coast. You had Hollywood versus like the working class people of Boston. There's so many different stories within it, so many different layers to the thing. Plus, you had black versus white. You had the Magic Johnson, and everybody's Larry Bird is the white hope, and he didn't think that, right? They actually have a fantastic friendship. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, and they changed the game. They elevated the NBA. I remember watching those games. I remember seeing the competition that was there. It was in your face. It was some of the greatest basketball to ever be played. And the show that you brought up, man, was so well acted.
It was beautifully done too. I think it definitely emulated and really took I never was in that era, but it felt like I was there in the 70s and 80s watching basketball, watching a failing Lakers dynasty come back and be great again. And I also thought a lot of the acting too was spot on. I don't know who plays Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, because I never heard of them before, but I think I
didn't know.
Both did amazing. I know when the 76ers got brought up, Dr. J was a big part of that whole rivalry too, and I thought Dr. J was amazingly casted in that role.
Absolutely. They all were a part of it. Every team at the time, they elevated it so much that every team was great.
Yeah.
In general, I mean, nobody was as good as those two, but the competition was just great.
But Winning Time, I think, is definitely one of my favorite, biopic shows. And I just love basketball too, so it's also kind of that 1-2 punch right there. So do you have your pick?
I do. So honorable mention, Love Story, which is the Ryan Murphy story about JFK Jr. and his wife. They died in the late 90s in a plane crash, but JFK Jr. was one of the most famous people in the 90s, prince of the world, basically. Fantastic show. Honorable mention, I just finished watching it. It's great. But the one I'm going to pick is BET's New Edition story. In general, I was I wasn't sure about it, because the BET, for whatever reason, is kind of like Lifetime now. Like with a lot of their biopics that they do and shows are kind of Lifetimey and not very very passionate, I guess. But man, New Edition, it was so perfect. It was so right there. It really depicted the time frame. It had the style, the fashion, the the music, the whole thing was brilliant, and the actors were great. They go through all stages, when they were young, then when they were famous and teenagers, and then when they were older, when they did Belle Biv DeVoe, and when Whitney Houston came into the whole scenario, and it was great. The acting is so good, and that movie, the show, series was brilliant in every way possible, and I loved it. That is definitely my.
I mean, I wish I saw this before you talked about it, because I love New Edition. I love Bobby Brown. So
yeah. Oh, the guy that plays Bobby Brown was fucking awesome. Yeah,
and I think that's also another person I forgot to talk about. Like Bobby Brown, I feel like is I don't want to necessarily say he's a what if in the music industry, but I feel like he thought he was much bigger than he was, but he was still amazing as an artist. Like,
oh yeah,
there's only like 2 reasons why I would still watch Ghostbusters 2, and that's one of them is because of Bobby Brown's
music. Oh, absolutely. So 100%. Yeah, the show, definitely go back and watch the New Edition story. It's told great. It's very linear too. It's just, hey, here are the kids, they boom boom boom, oh, they do this song, this guy falls in love with this girl. But it's great. I loved it. 2 thumbs up.
But yeah, I think I feel like shows might be easier to do as a biopic than
more time.
Because there's another show, the Wu-Tang story. There's a whole lot of members in the Wu-Tang Clan with and they have a whole show on Hulu right now, which is also really freaking good.
Oh,
and
nice.
It shows their whole. It's pretty much the Wu-Tang Clan is really just a gang of singers.
Yeah.
So another good story, and I think doing a show might be more. I want to.
Yeah.
It's easier maybe, right? Because you have these certain amount of time frames that you can do it. Instead of just 2 hours and 30 minutes, you can do multiple seasons of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Jeffrey Dahmer story, right? The American Monster.
That was crazy.
With again, Ryan Murphy depicts things so beautifully and so accurately. If that was a 2-hour movie, all right.
Yeah. Well, it's also like
breathe a little bit.
Even for a show, right? After the credits happen, you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? Like, you kind of have that urge of like excitement. What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
As the movie is just kind of the pacing has to be perfect, or else it's going to fail.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer show was crazy and messed up, and also super freaking good.
That was great.
Probably messed up Evan Peters a lot, I'm assuming. Like, there's no way he's not the same after that.
It has to.
And also, I think a whole lot of serial killers get biopics too. Like, there's a Ted Bundy movie.
Sure.
And so, like, how do you do a movie off that? But then the people who they've murdered, their families are still alive, and probably don't want that to be seen at all. Like,
yeah, that's a real hard part, and I think Evan Peters actually got a lot of crap for that, right? Because in his acceptance speech at the Golden Globes or Emmy, whatever he won, he didn't mention the victims,
right.
Which, oops. I mean, it's kind of important to mention that, but yeah, I don't know. You can't pay him off. You can't give him more money to just be like, hey, we're going to make a movie about your loved one getting slaughtered. I don't know, but at the same time, there are still important, I think, movies to make and stories to be told.
But with that, I think we can go on to the final topic of the evening.
Movie of the month.
Film? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, what the film? Movie of the month?
Yeah, I don't have it yet. We'll work on it.
So last month it did spin on the movie 42, the Jackie Robinson story, which is probably the most influential sports sports person of all time. He made his way from the black leagues in the 40s to now playing for the
all white
league, the Major League Baseball, which was an all-white league. And boy, that movie was amazing. Now, what I will say is,
it was amazing.
I grew up watching this a lot in school for some reason. I don't know. Well, maybe
42?
Class 42. Yeah, I watched it in school, and I remember I was like, "Yo, this is the best biopic of all time," and I love Jackie Robinson. And then rewatching it, it didn't hit the same, only because I felt like it didn't show enough of Jackie Robinson. It's like upbringing, and his I don't know. They showed some of his, oh, you're a black man in the league, we don't like you. They showed a little bit about that.
Why was he so good at baseball? You mean, like, where was that?
Yeah. Like,
I get it.
There's one scene where Harrison Ford's character is going through a list of papers. I was like, hey, this guy's good at bat. Let's just, get him. I'm like, I felt like maybe there should have been a little bit more than just, what they showed. Because I feel like in the movie, they show a lot of Harrison Ford's character saving Jackie Robinson. And to me, sometimes that just feels like a white savior in a movie, which isn't just talking about Jackie Robinson and his greatness, which takes me out just a little bit. And especially, you talked about, they should have showed a lot more of his wife and what she was going through as well.
Yeah, so if you're out to make an inspiring movie, you're going to make everything inspiring, right?
Mm, yeah.
The wife is going to love you and support you. The owner of the team is going to support you right through, because the real evil in this story is racism, obviously. Everything else was the inspiration, old stuff, which is great. And again, it was a fantastic movie. But I would have liked to see some of the toll that takes on people, right? I mean, you're being threatened constantly, and you can get killed and probably lynched at any time. The wife had to feel that, especially because she's alone, right? She's in the house with her kid. Some of that tension could have been nice, you know what I mean, to put into it. But I get, if the story is strictly, here's the inspirational story, all American thing, then they succeeded well.
Exactly.
Right.
And they definitely did exceed at that. Like, it is an amazing story, and I think the acting is just phenomenal. I don't think I say this enough about Chadwick Boseman.
He was great.
He was truly one of the greatest actors of my generation.
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely.
It
We're talking about a what if.
Yeah, it really sucks what happened to him. Like, it really sucks. And and even like you and Shelby were talking, like, damn, you look so healthy in that. I'm like, yeah. And then when you watch movies in 2019, 2020, damn, this guy does not look healthy. It really sucks. But Chadwick Boseman definitely emulated Jackie Robinson perfectly. Like, I remember during the movie, we're looking up pictures of what actually happened. He looks exactly like Jackie. Exactly.
And I don't know if he acted like him, right? I don't know how Jackie Robinson acted or talked or whatever, but you still believed it. You still were right there. It was an iconic story, iconic movie. Jackie Robinson is the story of America, right? That's an Americana movie and story. Told through baseball too, which again is America's sport. I don't think you get any better than 42 as far as telling that story. Yeah, it was.
And I'm not even like a huge baseball fan either. Like, I think my sport is usually just football or basketball, but baseball is not really exciting to me. And this movie definitely excited me in the baseball scenes. I think there's a lot of. I think they showed enough baseball to like real life ratio. There wasn't a whole lot of games.
Oh, absolutely.
But there wasn't a whole lot of.
And I mean, 100%. Baseball would be my third, down the list of sports. But there's no doubt that the story of America is woven through baseball. Right, through the story of baseball, hands down. There's no better depiction of that than Jackie Robinson becoming the first black baseball player. Put that in your head. Prior to him, it was all white people. Nobody had a problem. They were like, you know what? fuck off. It's gonna just be white people. And Jackie Robinson steps on the field, and people were pissed.
Yep.
Did not go over super well. And you know, that's again what a testament to. And that wasn't that long ago, right? We're still in the generation where we know people. You can meet somebody at Walmart or Wawa who did not agree that black people could swim in the same swimming pool. Those people are still around. They have kids. Some of those kids still believe that. So we're still not, we're not where we're supposed to be in the long run. But, you get there little by little. And this was the first chunk, right? This was the first hit of the armor, if you say. And I think the movie did it in such a way where it wasn't in your face. It wasn't saying, hey, fuck these other people. It just said, this is how it was. And that's how you make that movie.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think if anything to take away from the Jackie Robinson story is that the Phillies and Philadelphia will always be painted as the bad guy, no matter what.
Assholes, a bunch of assholes, always.
But yeah, so with that though, it does end the conversation of biopics. We'll probably make a whole separate video of our reaction to the Michael Jackson movie, because it's probably the most anticipated movie of all time, not just like biopic of all time, just the Michael movie. Earlier in the weeks, we did a out of the theater reaction to the Michael movie, and I think it's probably time now. It's been a couple of weeks. Gather our thoughts and really review this film at face value and here. To start off with,
this is like an appended biopic.
Yeah.
Yes. Sure.
To start off, I think I just have to say this, and it's really telling to who the critics are and why critics are one of my least favorite people of all time. They take the Michael movie that is 100% to me authentic to Michael as a person and are shitting on it, while also taking the Leaving Neverland documentary, which is completely false, completely idiotic, and loving that. These critics and the population have been trying to kill Michael and his career since he was born, and
they were successful at killing him.
Yeah, but even after his death, they are still trying to stain his legacy. Sure. And I'm very glad that the people have come forward and made and loved this movie, and celebrating this movie. And right now, it's doing amazing.
Is it? Okay.
It's number 12 right now through the biopics of all time. 12, and the top highest grossing biopics of all time.
And it's only going to grow. I mean, it's still in the theater, right? So we're still moving forward.
And the funny thing is, too, Michael Jackson right now, as an artist, this is his best streaming year of all time.
Really?
Think about that for a second, too. Now, obviously, probably not, when you do inflation, the 80s and 90s, he was probably way bigger. But of a streaming career, even when he was in his early 2000s, this is his biggest rise.
Yeah. The movie was great, and I think the problem we have culturally is we get stuck on something, and I don't know, like that's just what people think. To address that elephant in the room, yes, there were multiple people who did accuse him of some wrongdoing, right, sexually. Sure. Happens to a lot of stars, and first of all, I will amend this by saying, if any of it is true, yes, 100% agree, fuck him. 1,000%. But you need proof, like there has to be proof. He was, not to go into any kind of crazy detail because I want to talk about the movie, but the FBI raided his house. They took all of his computers. They took all of his stuff. They took pictures. They took whatever. No charges were brought. Sure, somebody can say, oh, well, you just paid off everybody. You're not paying off the FBI. I'm sorry. You're just not. If the FBI wants to get you, they're going to fucking get you, right? He still didn't get caught. So again, you're innocent until proven guilty in this country. Will there always be a question mark there? Sure. Of course there will be. But there will be with anybody in power. So, whatever.
Yeah. But now, talking about the movie...
Yeah, the movie was so celebratory.
It's like not even just like they're celebrating his life. It's just the way that the story was paced and how each year really meant something to Michael and his catalog. I just thought they did a perfect job with that too. I think obviously I have problems. The only problem I have really is how much they glossed over Off the Wall. Because obviously Off the Wall is my favorite album. There's a reason why it's on my body. But I can't argue the fact that Thriller is his biggest and probably his best album. So you have to just focus on that.
Yeah, it's the greatest album ever made. Ever. Throughout any history.
Yeah.
Till time ends. But what I loved about it was it wasn't complicated. It didn't need anything but just here's what happened, here's the story, here's what he did. I'm sure some of it was embellished, some of it was different than it happened in the movie, but it humanized him so much. My problem with it initially going in, like thinking in my head, I'm like, how are you gonna make? He's so weird. He's a weird dude. He's always been a weird guy. We know that through interviews and stories. So he's just gonna I'm gonna watch a movie and he's just gonna be weird and he's gonna have a monkey and a space, a containment tank and a whatever. All the weird things about him. But this really brought it to such a human level. He had these animals because he cared about them. They were his friends. They were his only friends. Right? In the movie, how powerful was that? When you heard that, when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, it makes sense. No wonder he's so weird. He didn't have friends. He literally grew up in the spotlight. He grew up only working. He was a workhorse. Right? And that's all he knew. And man, that fucks you up as a kid. That has to. So he, went to these, Disney and Peter Pan and animals. They were his friends, right? He was like literally in that world. And it made so much sense. And absolutely truthfully, he did go to hospitals where sick kids were. He was all about helping the children heal and feel something and love. He truly did believe that his music could save the world. And literally, actually, quite honestly, it kind of did. Because when he did We Are the World, that literally helped hungry people in Africa, right? So, I think it was perfect, right? I couldn't think of a different way to do that movie.
Yeah.
No other. I could have added some things that I remember.
For sure.
The one thing that wasn't in, that I don't know why they didn't put it, but when he won his Grammy for Thriller, I remember it plain as day, watching it live. He had sunglasses on. Watch the clip, you can YouTube this. He had sunglasses on. Obviously, everybody loved him, and he did the coolest thing ever. He accepts his Grammy, he comes up there and he takes off his glasses, and he said, "That's for you and you kids in the back." People freaked out. Watch it. The audience reacted of him just taking off his glasses. The place exploded. It was the biggest pop of all time. Things like that, I thought I would have loved to just seen thrown in there, but it didn't need to be. Obviously the Wiz, they didn't do.
And then that's just a whole other thing with.
I would have loved to see Paul McCartney sort of in there, like somebody play Paul McCartney, but containing it to just Michael Jackson, I think, was also just perfect. It was just great. Also, to reiterate, Domingo. Where the fuck did this guy come from?
like he's been a very like under the radar person for me.
Dude, do you
Obviously I know
remember
him
watching
from
Fear
in the
the-
Selma movie, and then once we watched Sing Sing, I was like, oh shit,
Do you
this
not
guy.
remember watching the first season of Fear the Walking Dead?
Yeah, but like I don't remember him being like,
I'm like, oh my god, where did this guy come from?
yeah,
Bro, I did not expect, and knowing him from Sing Sing and knowing him from the Saturday Night Live or other little things that I've seen him in, man, he was mean. He was mean in this movie.
Yeah.
Dude, he was like, but he was mean, but in a weird way, I did feel bad for him. Actually, I honestly did. I was like, wait a minute, he's kind of over the top, but
and
wow.
there's going to be a lot of discourse for Joe Jackson, but he worked the hell out of those kids, and without Joe Jackson working the hell out of those kids, are they going to be the biggest artists on the planet? Maybe not.
Yeah, no,
Like
I mean,
there's a lot of stuff that Joe Jackson did, and actually in the movie, I don't know if you remember, but when Mike was in the hospital and he had his whole brain or his head burned,
which I remember vividly.
the one thing that Joe Jackson said, when is he going to be able to perform again? Everyone in that room was, you're an asshole, you're an asshole. But when you think about it, he was protecting Michael, and he was making sure that he was able to perform, because that's the only thing Michael loved to do was perform.
Yes,
and
true.
and that was like, he does care about Michael.
He knows him better than anybody.
There's just obviously some things that he took to the extreme, but in that moment he was like, the only thing that Michael wants to do is perform for people and to perform for the world, and he was right though.
You go back and watch. I'm sure on YouTube you can find Michael Jackson just preparing to perform, like his pre-show,
Right.
getting stage ready. Watch those, because he is a fucking beast. He's yelling at people. He's telling people, "Yo, this has to be here. This has to boom." He's on point every night. He's a monster on stage, and that's because of that, right? He has this workforce. Go back and it's mesmerizing to watch him, like telling the dancers kind of what to do, and
Yep.
and, sound guy, you got to do this differently. He's very diva-ish, obviously, but
He's a perfectionist.
Perfect. Yeah, he wants it that perfect, and
His dad taught him that, to be a perfectionist.
Right, exactly. It's crazy. I didn't think you're right. I think it does prove that he knows Michael more. And yeah, no, I thought that was great. Everything they did. It was funny. It's literally watching my childhood. It's such a mirror reflection. As I'm watching this movie, I'm seeing myself see this happen. I can pinpoint when Trisha played "Beat It" for me, right on 45. When I saw the music video for Billie Jean for the first time, when I found out, when I learned that his fucking hair got on fire, I was scared. I was frightened for it. I was like, oh my god, what happened to Michael Jackson? Like, as a little kid, I had, maybe I'll send it to you. I have it somewhere. There's a picture of me with the Michael Jackson shirt in Disney as a little kid. That was my life. I'm like, oh yeah. I remember when he did the fucking moonwalk. Tristan, back then, your family didn't do different things watching TV. Everybody had to be watching the same thing at the same time. There was nobody, you on your laptop watching this and somebody else in the other room watching. There was one TV in the house. Everybody was on the couch watching this Motown show. It was the Motown, 30 year, whatever.
Something, yeah.
Concert.
Motown 25, I think.
Yeah, Motown 25. And we were all sitting on the couch. Me, Papa, Trisha. We're seeing him do the moonwalk.
Right.
Freaking out. Right? Holy shit. This dude's amazing, right? So, watching the movie and how they celebrate that, or at least show it in a good light, is such a mirror to how I felt while this actually was happening, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The Beat It The Beat It and Thriller scenes. They
Yeah.
were great. They were fantastic. I wish they would have, however. I wish they would have shown him watch American Werewolf in London. American Werewolf in London. To get the idea for the video. I wish that kind of would have been in there, because I know that's probably what happened. But showing his creative process, showing him in the studio, showing the record companies thing. I mean, and it's 100% true. They were not going to play him on MTV. MTV was all new wave white people stuff. Michael Jackson changed all that. It was great. The movie, again, could not have been done any better or been any better.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But next episode, do you want to talk about what we are doing?
So our next episode is going to be in June, right? We're talking summertime. So this is going to be blockbusters, right? The summertime blockbusters. Obviously, you know, Star Wars and Jaws, think of movies where lines are across, you know, wrapped around the building. Hugely anticipated. You know, you've seen the trailer for Iron Man months in advance and you're like, what the fuck? We gotta go see this. So these movies, right? The blockbusters were what's considered blockbusters.
What are your two selections for the movie of the month?
So I'm gonna go with all right, so I've never seen some of these, so
okay.
Let me just make sure I have the right title here. Never seen this movie. It was supposed to be one of the biggest movies of all time. However, it did not do very well at all. And it actually lost $255 million.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money.
And maybe you've seen this. John Carter.
Okay, I have not, but yeah.
Never seen it. I'm not going to have high hopes for it. And the other one, so when we're talking about blockbusters, right, we're basically talking about movies that make a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during the time of big movies in the 80s, right? You had the action ones, right? Obviously, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, E.T., Ghostbusters, right? You had all Back to the Future. These were big blockbuster movies. Snuck in there that made a lot of money and actually got a lot of awards is a movie called Rain Man with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman is one of the greatest actors. You probably haven't seen him in a lot of stuff, but just about everything he does is brilliant. He's a fantastic actor, and this is around the time that Tom Cruise was a huge, right? You know, he did Top Gun. He did. He was a heartthrob, right? So, but this is actually a serious movie, and so I'm gonna have Rain Man, which again, in 1988 made $172 million. It made the most that year in 1988. Yeah, right. During all of the, you know, Batman and fucking Top Gun, all this stuff. So that movie I'll put in there because I consider that a blockbuster. And we're in John Carter, which I have no fucking idea what it's about. I think some dude like goes to another planet. It's like on another planet, or it's based on a comic book, I believe. So we'll see if that lands on that. We'll see what we're gonna see. It looks bad, doesn't it? We're gonna see what this was supposed to be the big movie that year, whatever year came out, 2012.
And you know what sucks is I looked up. It came out in 2012, which is, I don't know if you know what came out in summer of 2012, but that was The Avengers. So yeah, it was not making no money over The Avengers.
It was hyped. It was hyped. People really thought it was going to be the thing, the next big thing, and it was not. So I've never seen it. I would love to see years down the road what was the big problem.
So I'm also kind of doing a little bit what you're doing. So the first movie I have is actually one of the, I believe it came out in, hold on, let me just look this up. is a 1987 summer blockbuster, Beverly Hills Cop 2. The second one with Eddie Murphy. An amazing movie.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it was.
Bridget Nelson? Oh.
Yeah, it had a $27 million budget and it made $300 million. Huge summer blockbuster.
The music alone. I have the soundtrack.
I love the song. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's best. Like, there's no doubt Eddie Murphy is really known for, like, Axel Foley. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's great.
Oh, I love that. I love that movie. He steals a house in it. It's great.
And then the other one is 1999's Will Smith, Wild Wild West.
Oh.
So it's funny because it actually made its budget back, but its critical acclaim, it has a 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the critically worst summer blockbusters.
And it has one of my favorite, my hall pass really is
Salma Hayek.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah, it's
Kevin Kline's a great actor too, by the way.
And so is Will Smith, but I've never seen it, so I have
no idea. You've never seen it?
No. So I have no idea what to expect from this.
Man, this is going to be a fun month. This is going to be an interesting month.
But yeah, so we are going to go ahead, and I have the Wheel of Cinema ready with John Carter, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Rain Man, and Wild Wild West. So here we go.
The film?
Oh, a legendary.
Beverly Hills Cop 2. Okay.
Oh.
I feel like we.
I know we got
away with something there.
No, bitch!
So yes, next month we'll be talking about a whole bunch of summer blockbusters, but then at the end of the episode we'll talk about the greatest, one of the greatest ones, Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yes. Which is such a fun movie with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome. I can't wait to watch that again. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
But yes, so with that being said, we'll catch you next month on that episode. Let us know your favorites, least favorites, biopics, what you're looking forward to, or if you have any, what should come out, what biopics you would want to do or want to see
absolutely.
From there. So let us know in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe,